All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about our theme here real quick, and it's going to be about owning it. So what really got me excited about owning this topic for tonight was that about 5 years ago, I actually bought my first house. Me and my wife, we closed on it, and we celebrated 5 years just last week. And I've really felt this presence of ownership that God has given me ever since that time. And I've looked to own lots of different things, from different financial assets to owning my time to owning just everything I can think about when it comes to ownership. So a quick definition: when you own something, it belongs to you. Nobody else can take that away from you. And it can describe a possession, property, an asset, or a different thing. When you have ownership, you have the responsibility and power and control. When I think about that, I think about God giving us dominion over the earth, like he talked about in Genesis. And what's really special about me being here today is about 4 years ago, I decided to step into Southern Hills Toastmasters. And at that point in time, I had no control or ownership of my voice, of my thoughts. My thoughts were controlled by other people. I had no other voice of my own. It was something I struggled with for close to 30-something years. But God gave me the ability to have ownership over my speech and over my thoughts. And this is really transformative, and this is the reason why I want to share this message with you about ownership. So when you step up to the stage, when you practice flexing those speech muscles, you have an opportunity to demonstrate ownership of the gift that God has given you, which is your speech, which is communication. And then those words that you produce can literally change somebody's life. So we're going to talk more about ownership as this evening goes on, but now it's time to hear our first speech. It's always tough and it's always scary to come up here and to give a speech, but it's over. You get the sigh of relief and you owned it, man. You did a great job. We just heard a prepared speech. We will transition into our impromptu speeches here shortly. What I want to talk to you next about owning it is, why would we want to own stuff? Why would we want to own our communication, our lives, things like that? James talked about just some things to reminisce about. So I'm gonna give you guys something to think about. So who remembers being at home and then just thinking like, you know what, when I got the house, I can't wait. Have my own place. Mom and dad won't tell me what to do, make my own food. Who remembers that? Yeah, of course, yeah. And then when you get on your own, it's kind of like, ooh, this is scary. Call mom back up like, Mom, how do you make that chicken again? I kind of wish I can go back right now because I don't want to pay for those gas prices that are out there right now. We get the freedom and the responsibility to do our own thing once we own that aspect of our lives. There's this term I've heard quite a bit. I listen to tech and then business stuff. They talk about this thing called owner's economics. There's a couple quotes from that I'll kind of relate to you. So this one comes from Verizon. They talked about they wanted owner's economics. They said they want to be the masters of their own destiny when deploying our wireless network. This one from AT&T, they talked about by owning and operating both fiber and wireless assets, AT&T's owner's economics will provide better flexibility to deliver high quality services. So I'll give you that simple example with living at home. So just imagine if you had ownership over something a little bit more important in your life. Maybe ownership of the relationship that strained. Maybe you haven't talked to somebody in a few years and you want to rekindle that, but you're not too sure how to go about that. How cool would that be if you were able to take ownership of that situation and then start to build a bridge? So I talked about why public speaking is important for me, how I didn't have my own voice. And then I also want to talk to you about, maybe some of those other things that are important to you. So I'll talk about relationships. Maybe there's some opportunities for your career that you want to get to that next level, but you're not sure how to do that. There might be some other tangible or intangible things. So some things that you can put your hands on physically, or some other things, maybe, just from something you can't reach that's important to you. So Rachel had a pretty good example of proving the existence of God from a public speaking class. I thought that was pretty important. So when we do those things, we take ownership of situations, and that's the reason why it's important to us, because we're in control of our destinies when we go down that path. At this time, we're going to transition to table topics, and I'm going to hand the floor over to Erica. Thank you, Priscilla. Great job for the general evaluation. We would normally have our odd counter at this point in time. This person would talk about our odds and ups, but everybody's safe because we don't have anybody measuring that today. So we're good on that. Speaking tips and Q&A. I will provide some speaking tips. And this is really going to come from the Bible. I wish I could take ownership over this, but God's got me beat on this. So some speaking tips. So really this ties into how we can own everything that we talk about here today, whether it's career, speaking, relationships, the job, family, you name it. Three points. If you want to write this down, feel free to do so. How to own it. First one. Think on the thing that you want ownership on and then write it down. Scripture here. And the Lord answered me, write the vision, make it plain on tablets, so he may run who reads it. So that's Habakkuk 2:2. That's the English Standard Version. The second point here is seek wisdom from God on how to make these things happen for the things that you want to own. And then the scripture here says, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives. The one who seeks finds. And the one who knocks, the door will be open. So that one's Matthew 7-8. This one speaks to me, and it's interesting too. If you look in Proverbs, this thing is repeated throughout this whole section in chapter 16. But the theme here is commit your actions to the Lord, and your plans will succeed. So write the vision, make it plain. Start asking for wisdom. Start seeking, knocking. And then waiting for those doors to be open. And then in all those things, commit your actions to the Lord, and he's going to make sure that your plans will succeed. So that's the speaking tip of the day. In closing, I want to thank everybody for this opportunity to be your Toastmaster of the day. My prayer for you is that you own this opportunity that you have in this club and really take advantage of the tools, the resources, and the community that we have in here. Because you can try to do these things on your own, but you can go so much farther with the community. And the community has a vested input and benefits to your growth. So own it. Let's hand this back over to our president, Ms. Priscilla Pfeiffer.